So last year I talked to you guys about the iPod and why people are looking to this decades old music player now with a renewed interest today. And no, the iPod is not back, but I will say there's definitely some more talk about them, at least in circles that I'm in. For me, the journey of rediscovering the iPod started at the very end of 2023. My girlfriend gave me her old iPod Classic and said I could play around with it, and that's what I've been doing ever since. I also had my old iPod Nano as well that I sometimes carry and will take with me on runs. But by the time you guys are watching this video, my birthday will have just passed, and my grandma gave me a really good surprise for this year's birthday. She gave me her old iPod Classic 5th gen, which I'm so stoked to have. Why did you want me to have this?
Oh, come on, I'm not doing a video.
And as a bonus, a big surprise, she gave me this old Logitech iPod boombox. This device is honestly so awesome, guys. All you gotta do is plop the iPod onto here and press play. It's honestly that simple. So I am flush with iPods right now, and 2025 is still definitely going to be the year of the iPod over here at Spencer's Adventures. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about a few of the reasons why, if you're considering picking one of these up, why I think you might want to do so, here in 2025 or even into the future. But first, if you don't know me, I'm Spencer, and I like to talk about simple living, frugality, and ditching digital distraction, sometimes through using other technologies. Let's get into it. So the first reason why I think you might want to consider picking up something like an iPod here in 2025 is the headphone jack. Now look, even I have a pair of AirPods and I do enjoy wearing them when I go out for a run or something, especially in the Canadian winter. The cable of the headphones can get super stiff, and when I'm running like this, I end up yanking them out of my ears and it's not a good scene. Like, I enjoy AirPods for certain applications. Wireless headphones are good in certain cases. But I don't know, there's just something about the old 3.5mm jack. Maybe it's the fact that almost every good pair of headphones throughout history were made to comply with that port. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it gives you so many great options for listening with the iPod on the go. I have a nice pair of Audio-Technica over-ear headphones that I like to use when I'm listening to the iPod sometimes, specifically at home when I'm like sitting on the couch or sitting at the computer and I just want to listen to some of my music. However, on the go, I've been rolling with these in-ear monitors. These are the Linsoul 02s. They are really good sounding in-ear monitors and they're very inexpensive as well. What's cool about in-ear monitors is that you can swap out things like the cables to get higher quality sound. You can swap all of these components. It pretty much comes apart. Of course, you still can use these wired headphone offerings on modern phones using different adapters and dongles, but I just don't want to really live in a dongle world. I hate having to adapt things from one thing to the other. I enjoy that I can just go directly into the iPod and use the headphones the way they were intended, no adapters required. The second thing that's so great about a device like the iPod is that the storage is dedicated 100% to music. You know, I made this point before, but inside of a device like the smartphone, you have a dedicated amount of storage, especially if you're an Apple user, that is finite. Usually it's 128 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes, but the problem with it on a smartphone is that that storage is not just dedicated to music. You have to share it with photos, podcasts, apps, and a ton of other things. On the iPod, the storage can range. My Nano can hold, I think, 8 gigabytes. The one that I just got from my grandma holds 30 gigabytes, and my other one holds, I think, 120. And one of the cool things about the iPod is there's also a huge community of people modifying these devices. You can buy storage modifications for these things and expand the storage to 1 terabyte if you wanted to. But the point is, no matter what the storage capacity is on your iPod, that iPod storage is 100% dedicated to music. Because we're in the age of streaming now, I think most people are okay with just constantly accessing the music that they need using data or using Wi-Fi or something, not actually having it stored locally on their device. So having something like this is quite powerful in that regard. I love knowing that I have local access to my music whenever. I don't have to pull it down from Spotify using Wi-Fi or data. It's here for me right when I want it. And speaking of Spotify, the third thing that I really appreciate about the iPod, and I think a lot more people are going to come to appreciate about devices like the iPod, is the fact that there is no subscription required. We are living in a subscription economy, folks. If you want to hear a little bit more about that, I did a video on that topic exactly, and I'll link it above. But we really are. Everything everything has become a subscription nowadays. And of course I can see that's just the way things are going and I have to get with the program, but it doesn't mean I have to always like it. For me, it's the constant drip of that monthly payment that comes with a subscription. The average person pays around $273 per month on various subscription services. And the crazy thing is that most people didn't know they were paying that much. It's a lot easier than you think to lose track of these small payments like that when they're just kind of coming out in little drips here and there over the course of the month. So being intentional with which subscriptions you have and canceling ones that aren't working for you is something that I advocate for and also practice. And using something like the iPod, you're just able to cut that one extra subscription, that one extra drip per month. Keeping with that idea of cutting down on streaming services and figuring out exactly what's essential, the fourth thing that I love about the iPod and devices like it in 2025 is it allows me to take back a little bit of control over the media I'm consuming and actually own my music. 20 years ago when we were buying songs on iTunes for our iPods, it didn't seem at all like a crazy thing to do. But when I tell people that I'm buying music digitally nowadays, they look at me like my head's not screwed on right. The reality is that most people have become very used to paying a monthly subscription fee in order to rent the music that they own, and very few people actually own anything anymore in regards to their media. Now, I'm honestly not against streaming services. I think that they can be a great way to try out media without having to pay for each piece outright. What I guess I'm against though is consuming media without intention. And by using something like the iPod, I'm making a lot more choices about the media that I consume. I haven't subscribed to a music streaming service in over a year now. I canceled my Spotify subscription back very early around the new year of 2024. And you know, at some point I may dip my toes in and try another music streaming service once again. But I love knowing that the songs that I've amassed in the time that I've been using the iPod are mine. Between the songs that I've already had on my old iPod Nano and then the ones that I've purchased from DRM-free sites like HD Tracks, Qobuz, and 7 Digital, I've amassed over 1,200 songs that are mine. I think you don't have to be so hardline about what approach you choose, streaming over owning. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I know that if I sign up for a streaming service but then later choose to cancel to save some money, that I'm going to have that 1,200 songs that are mine no matter what. And folks, the fifth thing that I love about the iPod here in 2025 is that relatively speaking, it is a distraction-free device. This thing has no apps, no notifications, and no algorithms. The best thing that you can get to an algorithm in here is the shuffle function. Now in 2025, I won't really be telling people to ditch their smartphone completely. I'm more in favor of mastering the tool and trying to find better ways to distract yourself. But I think a tool like the iPod can totally fit into this approach too. By outsourcing certain functions to external single-purpose devices that can do them better anyway, then you can minimize distraction while still enjoying your smartphone. But if you're somebody who feels like you don't really need a smartphone in your life, this also pairs very well with dumb phones too, and I used it with all of the dumb phones that I tested throughout 2024. So moving on to the sixth thing that I think makes the iPod really special in 2025, and that is the fact that it is a dedicated, disconnected device. I talk a lot about the merits of single-purpose devices on this channel. The idea that you can kind of outsource all of the features of a smartphone if you wish into separate single-purpose devices. This not only allows you to have a better dedicated experience with each device, but you're able to kind of choose your adventure as well and pick exactly what devices you want to bring with you each day. I love being able to just kind of unplug from the world, leave my phone behind, and just take the iPod with me. So I have a little bit of music on the go, but I can't be reached. And you know, we've gotten into kind of a state of mind since the rise of the smartphone that we need to be connected at all times, just in case, but I think that largely is overblown. To be able to just go out for a walk and listen to a podcast or some music if you want, without having to worry about being interrupted by some silly notification or a spam caller, it's very nice and it's a liberty that I take for myself quite often. And finally, folks, the seventh thing that I really appreciate about the iPod, and I think makes it a pretty good buy in 2025, is just the huge repair and modification community that exists around these devices. In a world where smartphone companies are going to have laws put in place in order for them to make a battery swappable, it's nice that back in the day when the iPod ruled the roost that these tools were so easily modifiable. In iPods like these, the batteries, the storage, and even the cases can be swapped and modified. And tons of other neat custom mods are coming to the iPod as well, like Bluetooth and even USB-C charging. So I personally think it is a great time to own an iPod, guys, just with all of the community support that exists and the fact that I can easily add music to these things using Apple's music software. There is such a good argument for this dedicated distraction-free device in 2025. And I'm not trying to be a Luddite with this video or a nostalgia file or anything like that, but I think as the world continues to get more and more connected, then people are going to see the value of types of devices like these, of retro technologies, as like an escape from that world, a constant connectivity sabbatical, so to say. But what do you guys think? Have you already picked up a standalone music player like this, or do you have your eyes on one? Let me know in the comments because I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey folks, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I just wanted to let you guys know that I now have a Spencer's Adventures Patreon, which you can join if you're interested in supporting the channel. There's a couple different tiers you can choose from with an array of benefits, including ad-free videos, your name in the credits of these videos, early access to upcoming videos, special updates and content, as well as monthly Patreon exclusive videos. I've made over 100 videos on here and I have no intent of stopping. The Patreon is a good way if you want to connect with me and support the work I do. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.